name is Christopher Barnes. I'm assistant professor, digital publishing librarian at Adelphi University Libraries. Welcome to this library workshop on managing citations with Zotero. We are going to be talking about Zotero 7. It's the latest release of Zotero. It really upgraded a lot of features, made some cool additions, and but like it's quite an upgrade. So even if you knew Zotero, used Zotero before, you're still going to benefit from this refresher. And then on the right there, you see the link to, and we'll be sharing these slides, a link to a guide on citation management systems that we have at the library, because Zotero is not the only one, as we'll talk about in a minute. So you can always ask me for assistance, or you can go to those to that guide, get more assistance, and Zotero itself, amazing documentation, which is one of the really nice things about it, because you can figure out a lot of things yourself. Okay, and let's talk about the agenda for today. So first, we're going to just go over what citation management systems are, what they do. Then we'll look more closely at Zotero 7's key features, and then how to work with the Zotero web library. So it offers you folders, tags, notes, and annotations for you to organize and make the most out of your library. You can also add things directly into your library that way by just entering like a URL or an ISBN. And then we'll look at the really cool stuff, which is how to create in-text citations as you're writing, as well as then create bibliographies automatically based upon the citations that you've used. Next, we'll look at the Zotero connector. That's the browser plugin. It comes in Firefox, Chrome, what have you. The only caveat, and we'll return to this in a minute, is that you can't install it on your Adelphi Google account, because the Chrome web store is blocked for us to download extensions. So we'll talk about ways of getting around that. And then how to use the desktop app and capture different kinds of sources. Last but not least, using the plugins for Google Docs. And I don't have it up here, but also I'd like to show you Microsoft Word, how to utilize it in Microsoft Word. And then lastly, we'll have time for questions and some discussion. I'm sure each of you might want to ask a specific question based upon your discipline or your own research, and we should have plenty of time for that. Okay, any questions? All right.
I have a question,
So
I see.
what are citation management systems? Well, basically, they capture and save information about sources that you use in your research, whether they be books or articles. It could be a website. It could be anything that you're going to cite in a paper, and you're going to be able to save that information in a structured format. And the structured part's really important, because by saving everything by category, so name of author, title of book, publisher, and everything, Zotero can reorganize all those things into the format that you want, right? So APA, MLA, things like that, those formats. The systems let you then organize your library, your sources, using folders and tags in ways that you'll find very similar to other platforms that you use, especially like with the tags. And then some of them offer a citation management plugin, like Zotero. This is super handy. Some of them offer integration with Google Drive and Microsoft Word. Zotero does that. And some of the popular examples of citation management software out there are, you may have heard of these, RefWorks, Zotero, obviously, EndNote, and Mendeley. Okay? Mendeley is an Elsevier product. EndNote and RefWorks are also commercial. As far as I know, Zotero is the only open source one and the only free one, okay? Which is a major benefit, but it also means that it can be a little buggy, because it tries to interact with all different kinds of systems, right? All different kinds of browsers, all different kinds of operating systems, and interact with platforms and pull information. Sometimes it's not going to work exactly like it should. Sometimes you just need to upload or rather quit and open the program again, Because if you have, for example, an integration with Microsoft Word and Microsoft Word updates, you then might need to update Zotero to match that update for Word. Okay, so it's not there's no commercial company behind it tracking any issues or anything like that, right? It's a community of open source people and a nonprofit that puts this out there. All right. But that said, it is extremely powerful and helpful. It does all of the things that we've been talking about and more. Some of the enhancements for Zotero 7 enable you to actually mark up both PDFs and EPUBs in a PDF viewer. You can underline, you can highlight, you can add notes. And then when you export that PDF, that notation, that annotation is still in that PDF file. So you'll be able to see your underlining and your notes. And you can also if you are already in EndNote or Mendeley, okay, you want to export your entire library into Zotero because you're tired of spending money on the other one, you can do that too. You can incorporate, you can download everything from Mendeley, a certain file type, and then upload everything to Zotero. So when I talk about Zotero, it's really important to think of it in terms of its component parts. There is, first and foremost, the web library. This is the library that you're going to access online through your web browser, right? You can access it via your phone, anywhere, because it's just on the internet, right? You create an account, you log in, and you see your web library, you see all your sources. The desktop app obviously lives on your desktop, all right? And it needs to be open in order for Zotero to work correctly, all right? And what the browser extension does is it pulls information from your browser and saves it on your desktop, right? And then it syncs with the web library. So the connector pulls information into the desktop app, and then the desktop app syncs with the web library, and that's the order of things, right? So if you click save and you see it saved, it will save in your desktop app first, right? You'll see it there first. You don't have to go through any internet, right? It's just on your laptop. There's also a mobile app, which I personally have not tried. As you'll see in a minute, what the web library is a very sort of dense, information-packed dashboard, right? The idea of looking at it on a screen this big is not great, okay? But a tablet or something could be very beneficial, especially for using the PDF annotations, all right? You can even draw if you want with your finger or a smart pencil. This is what it looks like when you go to install Zotero 7. You'll see on the left-hand side, since I am a Mac user, it's offering me Zotero 7 for Mac, but there's also the Windows versions and Linux for those of you who are still using that. And then there's the Zotero connector, and again, because I'm in Chrome, it's offering me the Chrome version to download, but it also offers Firefox, Edge, and Safari, okay? Now, I will mention this now, and I'll mention it again later. You cannot add the Zotero connector to your Adelphi Google Drive account. All right, it gets blocked. Okay. Many of you have your personal Gmail accounts in addition to your Adelphi account, right? So what we're going to be doing is utilizing my own personal Gmail account in order to get around that. The other thing you can do is use Firefox, but we'll get more into that later on. So here is the web library itself. And I'm glad you guys are sitting close because I know it can get a little blurry for the back. But let's talk about the different components of this one by one. So on the left-hand side here, you see the red box around it. That is your folders pane. That's where you organize everything. You have collections, sub-collections, but you'll see that my library is highlighted, okay? And therefore, everything in this center pane, this is my entire library. So if I were to click on one folder, I would only see the works in that folder, right? And then in terms of the information they offer here, it's the title, the creator, the date you added it to Zotero, which I find very, very helpful. and then a column listing whether or not there are attachments. Again, Zotero will do its best to automatically save PDF files that you have access to. So when you click that browser plugin and it says, oh, you're an Adelphi student, you have access to this PDF, it will try to save it and download it. Okay, it doesn't always work. Sometimes wherever it's trying to pull it from will stop it. Okay, you have to add it manually. But when it does work, man, it's a great feature. Okay. So you can also control what these columns are. So for example, if for whatever reason, the publisher or the journal in which these publications were published is really important, you can add a column for publisher, or you can add a column for journal, all right? Whatever is most helpful to you in your research. On the far right, we see the information pane. And the information pane is showing the information about the work that I have selected. It's a book called The Island at the Center of the World. It's about New Netherland becoming New York. And you can see all of the information on the right-hand side that Zotero has automatically pulled in, okay, from whatever web page I found that book. And that's that structured information, right? That's the information that it's going to use to create an APA citation or an MLA in-text citation, right? It's got the date, the author, the publisher, the city, the edition, everything, right? But you can also add more. You can also go in and edit these things. One of the most helpful things it has is a link. It will always grab a link so that you can click on that link and get back to that work online. All right. Now let's talk about tags. So you'll see at the top right here, there's a tags pane or option, and it corresponds over here. These are all the tags that are in use in my library. All right. And I do a lot of work on the history of slavery in New York, and so a lot of these terms are related to that. But if I was looking for a particular one, like abolitionism, I could enter that there, and it would just show me the works that have that tag. Let me show you what the tags actually look like. So here are all of the tags that are assigned to this book, all right? Now, some of those I added, but most of them were pulled in automatically by Zotero, okay? Because it knows what the topics are, all right? And so it's great. It's not always 100% accurate, like there might be a typo in there or something like that if it gets pulled in. But man, it does a lot for free and automatically. You know, you just have to sort of help it out a little bit. Next, I wanted to show you, this is a different book. You can see this one, it was able to grab the abstract for the book or article, all right? It does its best to grab as much as it can. And the cool thing here is if you have access to a book, like you might think of Project Muse or JSTOR, you see a book and each chapter is a PDF download, right? Well, if you tell Zotero that I want the whole book, it will download all of the PDF files, right? Straight into Zotero, all right, where you can access them. And if I want to, say, look at the chapter on free blacks in New York in the early 19th century, I can click on that. I can put a note in there saying, oh, I want to use this for my paper for this reason, right? Or, you know, this has a quotation in it that is really helpful for my argument, okay? In addition to that, you can use those little tools, okay, on the right there. This is the cool thing about Zotero 7, to open up this PDF viewer, which will also accommodate EPUBs. And you can do at least three things. You can add a note, like a sticky note, that corresponds to what's highlighted up there, agency of the enslaved population. You can underline, you can highlight, and as I said before, you can even draw like an image if you had like one of those tablet smart pens. And when you export this, this is what it looks like. It's still there. The highlighting, the underlining, and this is here because I hovered over that sticky note and that big box popped up. It's not always there, okay? So it really allows you it's doing its best to allow you to do a lot of research and analysis within the actual system, within the platform. You can write notes, you can put in tags, you can put in links, all those sorts of things. Okay, so now we are, oh, good. Now we're actually, any questions at this point? Any questions about the web library organization? I think so far it's pretty straightforward, right? We're familiar with folders, we're familiar with tags. You know, this is how our online world is organized these days. But now I want to look at the tools that you can use to add and export works to Zotero, okay? And that you see the toolbar circled in red up top. And let's look at the right-hand part first. So this is how to create, to export things, all right? So if you wanted to export your library or given works as files, okay? These are all the different file types that you can choose from. One you might recognize is CSV, which is comma separated values, that's a spreadsheet. So if you wanted to export everything in a spreadsheet, you could do that. BibTeX is specifically for bibliographical information. So that is a way of adding it to like Mendeley, so is RIS, right? This is advanced, not that big of a deal. This is really important. This is how you insert citations and bibliographies. So you click that button, it sees the work that's highlighted there. I say I want an in-text citation. It says, okay, well, what citation style do you want? Do you want APA, MLA, Chicago? I tell it, and then it produces that citation, and I can copy it and drop it into my document, right? Later on, I'll talk to you about how you can be in Google Docs or in Microsoft Word and make it work. But right now, we're still just talking about pulling the information out of here manually. So you can copy that, drop it into a document, right? The same thing if I say, okay, well, now I need to add that to my bibliography. I just used a quote from that in my paper. I need to add that work to my bibliography. So Zotero, give me an APA citation for the bibliography for that work. There it is, right? Copy and paste. Okay. Very straightforward. Again, we're just in the web library. We haven't left the web library yet. Okay. Now we're looking at the other half of the toolbar, and these are ways of adding works, okay? If you hit the plus sign, you're going to be able to add a work completely manually. First, you're going to tell it what you're trying to add. These are just a few, but you click more, there's just, 100 different options there. You can also, as I was mentioning before, upload a file. So if you had a file from another citation management program and wanted to, you can upload it that way. One of the most popular tools is this magic wand. Okay, that's what that little thing up there is, a magic wand. And this box pops up when you click it, and you could just enter in the URL of, say, the page on Amazon for a book that you like, right? You enter the URL there, hit enter, it will go to that URL, pull all the information in without in an instant, okay? The same thing for DOIs, PMIDs, right? The reason it can do that is that the information about the work is embedded in these websites, right? Again, a little bit more technical, but really straightforward, and I'm about to demonstrate how it is. And there's another way of importing from the file, the same file types that we were talking about before, if you want to upload in bulk. Okay, any questions? All right. So here's where it gets interesting. Now we're actually going to attempt to use Zotero, all right? And I'm going to show you how to use the connector, the web library, and the desktop app all at the same time live, okay? And these are the things that we want to be looking at. How to add sources using those web library tools that were just on the screen, how to use the Zotero connector, how to work with Google Docs, and how to work with Microsoft Word. Okay. So let's see if this is going to work. All right. So here is my live web library, right? And just like before, if I click on Brooklyn History and I click on the first book, I'm seeing all the information here, okay? But let's say I want to add this book, the colony of New Netherland, a Dutch settlement in 17th century America. Again, this is sort of my research, so I'm just picking this. So there's lots of ways I could do this. I could find the ISBN, for example, right? And here's the ISBN. Copy. Hit the magic wand. Please work. There it is. All right. Instantaneously, the work's been added. All of the information is here. Okay. Except for some reason, the URL, which should have been taken, should have been grabbed. All right. There's a good example of, I can't tell you why it didn't do that, but it's free. So it really does work well, but you need to just double check. So if I wanted to add, for example, the URL, all I could do is just come here, copy, come over here. Oh, I'm sorry. The reason why there's no URL is because I use the ISBN. All right. I didn't go to Amazon. I didn't tell it, go to Amazon and do that, right? I could do that if I used the Zotero connector. Okay. So the Zotero connector is this right here. It's a browser plugin that lives up there in your browser. And if you give it access to your browsers, right, it will be able to pull the information from that page with one click. Let me show you. Click. Now it's saving to my library, right? And I can tell it which folder I want it to go to. So I created a folder just for this workshop. So Spark Zotero workshop, and it's saving. Okay. And now if I come back here, now you recall that I said that when I use the connector, it goes to the desktop app first, right? So if I go to the desktop app, it's not the easiest thing to do. Here it is. You'll see that the second one, right, is the one that was pulled in by the connector, okay? And it comes with that Amazon.com link to take you right back to it, okay? So there are two ways of adding the same work. If you have the connector set up, you can go and click, and it will pull all the information off of Amazon. The same thing for, as we'll see in a minute, like OneSearch, okay? It saves it to here, and then you'll see this button over here. This is the sync button. So on its own or prompted by you, you click that sync button, and now it's sending that information to the web library. So hopefully by now, when I come back to the web library, yeah, they're both there. Okay. This one that has the link and this one that doesn't. So it'll take me right back to that page. Okay. Another cool thing that the Zotero connector will do is it will offer you the option of saving everything on one page. So let's say that I ran a search on the history of slavery in New York, right? And most of these titles in this list are actually worthwhile, okay? They're actually something I want to save, okay? Not all of them, but some of them. And so let's see. You'll see now that the Zotero connector has changed from a book, right, to that's supposed to be a file folder. I don't know if you can see it from where you are, but that's supposed to be a file folder. And so when I click on it, I think this is so cool. A box pops up with all of the books that are listed on that page. And it says, which of these would you like to add to your library, right? So I can go through and say, well, I really want to add Activist New York, From Slavery to Poverty, and Grassroots Reform. And I click OK. Saving to my library. It's going to usually save to my library unless you tell it a specific folder, right? So again, I want to add it to that Spark Zotero workshop folder. And if I go to the desktop app,
there they are. Okay. But if I go to, let's see if they're already here. See, they're not here yet. Let's see. There they are. Okay, they just arrived. So you really need the three things, right? You need the connector installed on your browser, whatever browser you have. You need the desktop app on your desktop, laptop, desktop, what have you. And you need the web library. All right. But if you don't have access to the web library, the desktop app allows you to still access your library offline. Okay. So, and I found that to be really great because as you can see, it saves the PDFs and it saves, you can do a lot of work within Zotero offline, is my point. You can open PDFs, you can read, you can annotate them, you can put in more notes in the fields, you can, there's a lot you can do with just the desktop app. It has fewer features than the mobile app, okay? But it is very handy for, let's see, show you a couple of other things. Any questions so far? Sorry, yes.
So just when you import all that, those PDFs are there, so if I decide to start reading, I can start wherever, click on it, and the PDF just comes right out.
Exactly. You just need to make sure that it's actually been saved.
Okay.
So it will try to do it, but it doesn't always, the website doesn't always cooperate. And like I said before, if you want, you can just download the PDF and upload it to Zotero, and then you can, the functionality is exactly the same. Okay. The other thing you can do, you'll see now that the Zotero connector icon is that's supposed to be a piece of paper, which signifies an article. All right. So if I click on this article here, right, and I want it to go into Spark Zotero, you can see it's saving the full text. It says JSTOR full text saved. And if I go into the desktop app, sorry, it's I don't remember. Oh yeah, eavesdropping at the well, right. And there's the full text. Okay. So just once again, I could come over here. There's the full text. And then if I open that in the reader, I can mark it up and add notes and things like that, right? So really, really helpful. Again, completely free, right? Completely free. And the sooner you start using this, the more beneficial it will be. Because I wish I had started using this, when I was an undergrad. Because you think about all that research, all those papers, everything that you wrote, I had to go back and find those sources again, and so this can really save you a lot of time. All right. And now we're at 12:30. We're going to look at the integrations now with Google Docs and with Microsoft Word. Okay. All right. So I already mentioned that you can't install the connector onto your Adelphi Google account. All right. So I am using a non-Adelphi Google account. This is my Christopher Barnes Librarian account. All right. Another option for those of you who find it preferable is to use Firefox. Because Firefox doesn't have any restrictions in that way. And you can log into your Google Adelphi Drive account within Firefox.
And in order to demonstrate how you can integrate the Zotero connector with Firefox and Google Docs all at the same time, I'm sharing my entire desktop screen now. And apologies for earlier not actually showing the desktop application, which you can see here. Here's the last article that we added with the full text included in the desktop app. And but now we're looking at the integration of Zotero with Google Docs. And I am logged into my Adelphi Google Docs Google Drive account within Firefox.
And you can see the Zotero connector is right up here. And now I want to, let me blow this up a little bit. I want to demonstrate how to add in-text citations. So let's say that I wanted to add in-text citations to the end of this sentence here. All I do is come up here, click on Zotero, click Add Edit Citation. And now you'll see, although it popped up way down here, that this window opens up. And this little pop-up window here, the Zotero window, and I can enter any author or title I want, and it will incorporate it in. So you can see that because I already have Eavesdropping at the Well highlighted, it is appearing there. But let's pick something else. Let's pick the work we were looking at before, Campanella, Brooklyn, the Once and Future City. And I'll click on that. You can see it gets added there. If I want to add another one, I can. Let's try this one, The Colony of New Netherland, the book we added earlier. And why don't we add Eavesdropping at the Well as well, okay? And all I have to do is click Enter. And now you can see that within my Google Doc, those 3 in-text citations have been added to the end of the sentence in which I wanted them to go, and they are in APA format. Now, say I've finished writing my paper and I've added these and obviously many more citations. Now I get to the end and I want to create a bibliography for this paper. Well, since I've used Zotero to add all of the in-text citations, Zotero can now very easily create the bibliography because it knows all of the works that I've cited in the paper. So I just come up here, I click on Zotero, I click Add Edit Bibliography, and it's going to ask me, let's see. Oh, didn't ask me anything. It knew I was in APA and therefore just took a second, but it added all 3 of the works that I cited here in the bibliography, including where appropriate with the URL. So you can get back to the work. And they're in the same APA format in which these were created. But if I wanted to suddenly switch from APA to MLA or Chicago or another one, I could easily come in here and change those by editing with Zotero, as you can see here. The drop-down menu allows you to change views. All right, so this is super handy. Okay, so that is the integration with Google Docs. Now what I'd like to show you is the integration with Microsoft Word. And so I will just click over to the Microsoft Word app, which I have open here. This is a document I created for the Zotero workshop for today. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to want to try and add in-text citations to the end of this first sentence. So I'm going to come up here. You can see that there's a Zotero added to the menu. And I can click on that Zotero and click Add Edit Citation. And the same box pops up. It's the same input method. So if I want to just use the same, let's add one more. Shorto, that was the book we started with, The Island at the Center of the World. And I just hit enter. And it hasn't worked yet. Let's see. I wonder why. Oh, I guess it added it to it added it to the Google Doc because I guess it thought I was editing that. All right, let me instead of doing that, let me actually minimize this and go into the Microsoft Word doc. I'm wondering if I actually need to close the Google Doc, but let's try this again. So I'm going to add edit citation. Now there are only, this is blank again, so I'm pretty sure that it's going to work this time. Let's try Shorto, and yeah, and Campanella, and Rabinowitz. There it is. Okay, and I hit enter, and there they are. And now, just as in the Google Doc, if I want to create a bibliography, I can add edit bibliography, click on that, boom, one click, all 4 works are added in the style that I've told it to use. You can see here that, and this was also the case in the actual work itself, when eavesdropping at the well was pulled in, the quotations around slavery in New York were turned into M slash, which is the sort of the coding way of doing it. And so I fixed that. But you see, since I didn't fix it before I added the citation, it actually just added that right in there. Okay, and so I would want to edit that before I submitted this paper. And the reason everything is highlighting here is that, you know, this is can be actively edited through Zotero, as we saw with the Google Doc. Okay, so now we've seen integration with Microsoft Word. I can hit save here. We've seen integration with Google Docs. Again, you can use either Firefox, or you can use your Adelphi email. Excuse me, you can't use your Adelphi account. You can use your personal Gmail account, or you can use Firefox with your by logging into your Adelphi account through the web browser. All right, so I look forward to your questions. Thanks very much.